Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Advisicon webinar series. Thanks for joining us for an introduction to OKRs using Microsoft Viva Goals. Today's presentation is brought to you by Advisicon, where we help you with tools and training to maximize your impact, productivity, and purpose. My name is David Hogan, the Vice President of Technology Services and Engineering at Advisicon, and I'm glad you could join us today. Today's agenda includes the basics of OKRs, an introduction to Viva Goals. We'll be setting up an organization-level OKR in Viva Goals and adding team-level OKRs. And I'll give you a little bit more information on how to learn more about both OKRs and Viva Goals. OKRs, the basics. I will tell you right up front that this is a short webinar and there's a great deal of information about both of these subjects, and so this will be a very basic look at both, but it will be enough to get you started and make you curious. What and why would we use OKRs? Well, an OKR includes an objective, desired outcomes, and needed outputs. It is both a structure for defining strategic objectives and a framework for managing the execution of those objectives. And that's what makes it unique. What are the benefits? Well, first, you can create a clear direction and ensure every resource in your organization is focused on creating results related to what is currently most important. It also helps you bridge the gap between what you identify as most important and actually getting those things accomplished. And thirdly, it does help you increase the velocity and agility which you are able to identify strategy and actually translate it to results. Andy Grove, the former CEO of Intel, once said, "It almost doesn't matter what you know, it's what you can do with what you know that is so important." So now let's take a few moments to discuss the anatomy of an OKR. The O in OKR stands for objective. An objective is a clear and inspiring direction that is set to guide the organization. It is typically not measurable, and an organization may have between 1 and 3 objectives at any given time. Key results are the evidence that you're succeeding at achieving your objective. They are measurable, and they are outcomes, as opposed to efforts or activity. And the organization will have 3 to 5 key results for each objective. The third element of an OKR is key initiatives, what you will actually be doing to achieve the results you are looking for. These are also called outputs, and it's very important that we distinguish between outcomes and outputs. Outcomes are results, outputs are activities. How many will you have? Well, of course, you'll do whatever it takes. We do want to think 80-20 in this regard, and I'll talk more about that in just a moment. So let's take an example of an OKR. Let's say that we are an application development company, and our objective is to offer the best training app in the European market. So it sets an inspired direction, it creates clarity and focus, it isn't specifically measurable, and sometimes these objectives are committed objectives, meaning you have over 90% certainty you're going to achieve it. And sometimes they're aspirational or moonshot objectives, where you don't even know what it's going to take to get there, but you want to try. Our key result in this case is to improve weekly enrollments by 15% by the third quarter. And secondly, to achieve a net promoter score greater than 85% by the second quarter, and to have a version of our app in 10 languages by the third quarter. Looking back at these key results, you'll notice the first one is what we call an X to Y type of metric, meaning move from one level of performance to another level. This is a quantitative measure, meaning it has to do with how many of something. Achieving a net promoter score, of course, is also an X to Y type of metric, but this is a qualitative measure, measuring the quality of our product. And then the last key result you see there is what we call a milestone type result. We're not looking at an analytic or metric. We're just saying something has to exist for us to be able to achieve our objective. So with regard to key results, we want to think about them as what we are measuring our achievement of the objective by. They are quantitative and qualitative results, and we want to make sure that our collection of key results contains both quantitative and qualitative measures. Again, they are outcomes, not outputs. What results would indicate you achieved the objective? Well, these are the things that should be in your list of key results. And then finally, key initiatives for this OKR. Things like create and launch 4 email campaigns in the first quarter, or redesign the customer experience process in the second quarter, or be sure that you develop a German, Italian, and Dutch version of the app in the second quarter. These are things that you'll be doing to drive the results you're looking for. Again, think 80-20. What 20% of the efforts you've listed will create 80% of the result? Common cadences and practices. It's common for companies to think of their OKRs as being annual, meaning setting yearly goals, and then creating quarterly OKRs at the beginning of each quarter that drive toward that annual set of OKRs. We want to be able to complete weekly check-ins to update progress, and you want to close out OKRs at the end of each quarter, as you see in this timeline. Common practices include having top-down and bottom-up OKRs, not just cascading from the top, but letting teams figure out for themselves what they need to do to be successful as well. You'll also sometimes have organization level and team level OKRs. You also want to assign an owner to each OKR and initiative so you know who to hold responsible. And it's always wise to designate an organization OKR champion to help drive the process. So now let's talk for a few moments about Microsoft's Viva Goals. Here's an example of a sample company, and you'll notice on the left here within the interface that it lists a company where the globe is, Contoso OKRs. Those are the organization level objectives. And then you'll see some teams listed there, and their team goals can be put there. And in this case, they even show some individuals. I will tell you at the outset that there is a Viva Goals web application, was what you're looking at right now. And there's also the ability to run Viva Goals within Teams, which looks very similar to this. We are again looking at the web app version. You'll also notice in the top that it's identifying what time period these objectives are slated for. In this case, the third quarter of 2023. Next, where the blue targets are the objectives, or the O in OKR. In this example, launch the 2.0 version of a product in order to fix bugs and so on. Related to that objective are the key results that drive it, such as reducing the number of support tickets or reducing the number of steps in the process. And finally, that third element of the OKR, the initiatives, the action that you're taking that will drive the results that create the objective. Also on the right here, you'll notice that you see a status for each of those objectives. And we'll talk a little bit about how those are updated and driven. And you'll see these completion percentages next to each. And then further to the right, you see the owner of each of those results and objectives and their specific due dates. So let's set up our own OKR in Viva Goals. We're going to set up an organization level OKR that will be an annual goal. We'll also set up a team level quarterly OKR and link it to that annual OKR. We're also going to walk through how to update our progress and how to view our OKRs. So this is the OKR that we intend to set up. Our objective, again, offer the best training app in the European market. Our key results have to do with improving our weekly enrollments and achieving a net promoter score above 85%. And our actions or our key initiatives will be to launch an email campaign and redesign an experience and so on. So let's jump over to Viva Goals right now and just walk through how to do that. So here you see in an example company, I have no OKRs listed so far, but you see on the left-hand side here that I could have my own personal OKRs, Advisicon company OKRs, and team OKRs. We won't be going through all the settings today, but I will just show you that, of course, you can go ahead and set up teams within the application, users, and you can assign users to teams. And there are some administrative settings. I'll go in here now and just show you a couple of those. Again, members, teams, and one that's important, particularly in this case, would be time periods. For example, I have annual goals, and it shows for 2023, it gives you a date range for that. And then I've set up different quarters within that year, and it tells me right now that the current quarter is Q4 of 2023. So I'm going to go back here to the company level goals, and I'm going to add our first objective. So I click on this add an objective button, and I'll enter the details. And of course, I wanted to be able to say that we offer the best training app in Europe. Great. Now, it's not aligned to anything because this is the top level goal, and I'm going to own it. But this is an annual goal, so I'm going to go into the time period, and I'm going to tell it that that is an annual goal for 2023. And in terms of measuring the progress, I'm going to be able to have the key results roll up and figure out what progress has been completed on that particular goal. So now I'll go ahead and click on Create. So now with our objective entered, we are prepared to go ahead and enter some key results that are related to this particular objective. So I click here on the ellipses, and I tell it that I want to add a child item, and I want to add a key result related to this OKR. So in this case, my key result will be to improve weekly enrollments by 15%. Again, I'm going to update that manually on a weekly basis, and I'm going to keep it assigned to me. So I'm going to go ahead and click Create. So now you can see that this key result lines up under this particular objective. I'm going to go ahead now and add another child item, another key result, as we showed in our example. And I'm going to say that we want to achieve an NPS score greater than or equal to 85%. And again, I'll update that manually each week and assign it to myself. All right. Finally, remember the third component of an OKR are the initiatives or the actions that we'll be taking. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this objective again. And this time when I add a child item, I will say that I want to add an initiative. And in this case, I want to create and launch 4 email campaigns in Q1. Again, I'll update it myself, but in this case, I want to be able to leave it connected to that goal. I will be updating it manually, and so I'm going to click on Save. You notice this icon, of course, looks different than the key results. And let's add one more child item, another initiative as an example. And we'll say that we're going to redesign the customer experience by Q2. And all those things being the same, I'll click on Save. So this is how you set up an OKR in Viva Goals. Again, this is an example of an annual goal that is organization-wide. Now I want to go ahead and add a team objective nested under this as a quarterly goal that contributes to this larger company goal. So now I'm going to go through and say, click on here and add another child item, and this time add a child objective. So again, this is going to be for a particular team and for the 4th quarter. So in this case, my 4th quarter goal is to provide an extraordinary support experience. And now I come down here where it says when, and I'm going to change that to be the fourth quarter of the current year. And I'm going to go to the team now, and I'm going to choose the customer support team as the team assigned to this particular objective. Again, we will still update it manually, and I'm going to go ahead and click on Create. And now you'll see that a child goal has been placed under this, and it is a quarterly goal for a specific team. And then I can also go ahead and say that I want to add a key result to that sub goal. So I'm going to say add a key result. And maybe the key result for this would be to hire and train 18 CSRs by Q3. I think you get the idea, and I'll click on Create. So you would be able to go ahead and create additional key results and additional key initiatives for this sub-goal. So there you have it, an annual goal that is company-wide and a quarterly goal that is assigned to a particular team that also relates to this larger goal. Finally, I said that we wanted to be able to update the progress on these items. And so, for example, if I were, I've created 3 of the 4 campaigns as of last week. I want to be able to go into the progress, the progress area here. It says I'm 82% of the way through the year, so that's what it's expecting. But I'm going to say, well, I'm only 75% of the way there. I've done 3 of the 4 campaigns. So I'm going to say update, and it's going to tell me you're a little bit behind schedule. And then on this one here, redesigning the customer experience, I'm going to say, well, that's 90% of the way done. And there we are. It's Q2, so not exactly lining up. You get the idea. You're also able to go through and update progress on these results. If you're measuring the results, you should be able to put in a percentage. How close are you to this 85%, and so on. And so that's how we go through and update progress. Again, something that you would typically want to do each week. Finally, we want to be able to look at these objectives in a couple of different ways. And another view you can utilize here is the switch to alignment view, which shows you your different initiatives. And in this case, I have the high-level company objective here with the key results and the initiatives. And then I had that sub-goal, and so it shows that in a separate box. Here is the customer support team's goal that supports the company goal, and it would list, again, their key results and their initiatives and any others that were related to that particular objective. Awesome. Okay, so just a quick review. As it says here, OKRs. It's a structure for defining strategic objectives. It's a framework for managing the execution of those objectives. It always consists of 3 components: an objective that creates clarity, focus, and direction, key results that describe outcomes, and key initiatives that define outputs, or the active work that you do to drive those outcomes. Finally, Microsoft Viva Goals. It enables you to create organization and team-level OKRs. You can create alignment between those annual and quarterly objectives. It enables you to track and report progress on OKRs, and it includes views to show how your OKRs are aligned with each other. Again, it can operate as a standalone web app or within Microsoft Teams. Where to get more information? Well, to get some help with OKRs, whatmatters.com is the home of the website co-founded by John Doerr, perhaps the inventor of OKRs, along with Andy Grove. And of course, at Advisicon.com, we can assist you with coaching and assessments and even the implementation of an OKR program within your organization. Resources for Microsoft Viva Goals. Here is the web address, learn.microsoft.com, which actually has a training program for the use of Microsoft Viva Goals. And of course, we here at Advisicon.com can assist you again with coaching, Viva Goals configuration, and training services and implementation. And of course, we'd love to do that. Thank you for joining us on our webinar today. We hope that you found value in it. We want to invite you to visit us at advisicon.com, and we look forward to seeing you again on future webinars. Have a great day.